So my name is Jeremy Richardson. I'm one of the therapists here at NCC. I hold an LPC license and I've been here just over a year and a half.
Hello, Jeremy. It's nice to see you in person.
Yes.
My name is Michelle Sideroff and I'm an LPC here at NCC, and this month I've been here 2 years.
Congratulations. What are the struggles that you see that were kind of before COVID, the pre-COVID time, and then the during COVID? What's that experience been like for you?
When the pandemic hit, it hit a different level. I think the intensity went up. I saw a resurgence more with PTSD, just with the triggers of powerlessness. Quarantine can sometimes isolate a lot of people, like you said. And so it just resurfaced old trauma that might not have been dealt with, or it was dealt with, but it was just super triggering again. And then, so I've seen clients where their trauma has upped another level, or new clients that come in and they're coming with PTSD symptoms. And so that's what I see. And then the other part I think is a significant change is the grief, the loss of loved ones through death, loss of the world we knew, loss of everyday activities that not that we took for granted, but like you have this idea that it's going to be there, and then that whole core of support got stripped overnight, and that made healing hard, because like with trauma, you can't heal in the environment where you're experiencing trauma. And we're still actively in the pandemic, and what I'm seeing now is the recovery and healing's not happening in the same pace as we would have seen before. And we're not completely out of it now, and so like this is where mental health care is still very much important, and still seeing the devastating impacts. How come mental health is important? How come it's valuable?
Don't let fear stand in your way, right? Don't worry about what people think of you, because we as therapists, I as a therapist, I'll speak for myself, I'm not going to see you as weak for accessing services. Like I think it's great when people do, right? And it's a show of like strength to be able to say like, I can't do this on my own, or I've been doing it on my own too long and I'm tired. I need some different ways to do things. Because things won't change unless you change, right? Things are not going to get better unless you take steps to get them to get better. And one of those steps can be seeking help to get them better.
This is a time to get the support while you can. Like if you notice like changes in sleep, anxiety levels, depression levels, trauma resurfacing, grief, that this is a place where you don't have to do it alone. And like I said, like we will meet you where you're at, and it doesn't have to be going into detail on things. It's going to move at a pace that fits what you need, because we honor client-centered care.
Yeah, absolutely. In our shift to teletherapy, right? When the pandemic hit, we had to shift to, we couldn't do in-person stuff anymore. What was that like for you and kind of for your clients? What was that like for you?
I would say the initial shift was very stressful. I think everyone kind of hit fatigue walls. It was overwhelming. It didn't feel the same. And at first most counselors are in person, so like not knowing what teletherapy would look like, I think was new. And also we were in a crisis at the same time. But I found over time it's been more normalized, which is good. Clients that were struggling to show up due to different barriers, some were more engaged in therapy, so they were getting more care, which was awesome. And then for others, it still hasn't felt the same, so it's kind of like more grief continuing.
Yeah.
What about you? What is your experience, Jeremy?
Yeah, I would say similarly, like it was something we had to do. None of us were raring to go to teletherapy if we didn't have to. And yeah, like even as you said it, like that it was a grief we had to kind of go through of like, oh, I'm losing this in-person thing that I really like, sitting with people, and having to kind of do it on the fly, right? I wasn't super trained in how to do this. So figuring out, how do I do teletherapy? What are the barriers to that? How do I navigate technology and privacy and all these things?
The constant need to adapt, especially with all the stress.
Yeah.
And pandemic's been ongoing stress. So I would love to hear, how have you coped through all the stressors we've been through during this pandemic?
Yeah, I think some of it has been, it's revealed to me my need to be intentional, right? I have to be really intentional about my coping strategies. So some of that has looked like trying to spend some time outside, whether it's bad weather, good weather, whatever it is, I need to get outside and away from screens for a chunk of time, 15, 20 minutes at the very least. Cognizant about what sort of media am I consuming when I'm off, right? What are the things I'm watching for entertainment? How much news and from where am I getting it? Trying to limit my social media exposure. And being very intentional about connecting with people, whether that's family, friends, like trying to reach out and make those connections. That's what's been the most helpful for me. What about you? How have you coped in this time?
Music has been essential for me. It's kind of like I create my creativity in creating my soundtrack for the season. So like I'll have my own playlist going to kind of also keep my mind off things, because sometimes as a therapist, even though we try to have our boundaries, it still comes home and literally we're working at home part of the time. So music kind of helps me reset. And I think the last bit, I would say, is like validating. Like when there's a rough day, I just call it like it's a rough day. Because I think sometimes, especially when we're providing care, we want to silver line it. Oh, let's be stronger, let's move.
Strengths-based.
Yes.
Strengths-based, yeah.
And that still exists, but also just allowing and accepting that some days are harder kind of helps me adapt. Just be like, okay, I'm not going to sweep today. I'm going to do something else. And so being able to be flexible with understanding that the body will let me know what it needs, and I just need to honor it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What makes NCC like, what makes it great? What makes it good to work here?
When you start at a new job or a new place, you do take a leap of faith, kind of like I mentioned earlier. And heart, hope, and healing are core values. To me, NCC does it in action. Like, as therapists and as a whole team of staff, we really, at the heart of us, want to be a compassionate, caring support tool for our community. And I think just to be in a place where I trust that and I know it exists makes where I would trust having clients come to us. I would trust my other therapists to like refer. And I think that's important as a therapist, to be able to have that grounding while we have to do this type of work.
Yeah, there's no extra burdens working here. Like, we don't have to worry about other things. We can just, focus on what we need to do, which is, great and kind of rare, unfortunately.
Yes. And I would just say, like, we have therapists that really do genuinely care. They're aware of trauma. They're aware of how the impact of the pandemic has changed therapy. And so I would want clients to know that when they come to us, they are coming to people that will meet them where they're at and then work with them to where they want to go.